Who is Brandon Saad and where will he fit with the Vegas Golden Knights?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Chris Golick and Chris Condos for a special edition of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. On today's show, we're going to talk about where Brandon Saad will potentially fit in with the Vegas Golden Knights. Was this possibly a panic move by Kelly McCrimmon? But before we get into that, we're going to introduce you to Brandon Saad, talk about who he is and our experience with him. Again, I'm Chris Golick. I'm the collectibles editor for the Hockey News and a Day One season ticket member, as I guess Chris Condos kind of was a Day One Vegas Golden Knights season ticket member. And the commonality that myself and Condos do share is Blackhawks. We've supported the Blackhawks. We're still Blackhawk fans. I think the Golden Knights have our attention mainly now, but we still support the Blackhawks to a degree at least. And there was a period of time when Brandon Saad was with the Chicago Blackhawks. Before we get into that, just want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Moments like this, I miss Tony. Not too many moments, but moments like this when I'm the driver, I miss Tony. So before I just kind of set the table, I guess, Condos, I'll put it on you. What do you recall about Brandon Saad, specifically with his Blackhawks days?
Brandon Saad came up as a teenager after the first Stanley Cup. So 11 and 12. He came up as a 19-year-old his first year. He played sparingly, so he played key roles in the 13 and 15 Stanley Cup wins. After that, he was traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets when Kane and Taves got their matching mega contracts, and he was a cap casualty. But Saad, in terms of his play, he's a speed guy. He's not a rough guy. He is not a get in the corner and muck it up. He is a finesse player, but he's very quick. And if you remember Alex Tuch from year one, scoring a lot of those speed goals, that's what Saad could still bring to the table.
The comparisons that I wrote down watching a couple of highlight packages, Alex Tuch was one of them. I like his speed through the neutral zone. Maybe not as much of an in-your-face north-south type of player like Alex Tuch can be. And when we were texting yesterday, I actually wrote down Dave Perron. And I watched some of his goals today, some of Brandon Saad's goals. Got to get used to the new player. And Saad has a real nice quick release from in tight. Does a good job at changing directions with the puck. A few measurables here about Brandon Saad. 32 years old, 6'1", 216 pounds. For comparison, he's about an inch shorter and a pound lighter than Keegan Kolesar. Interesting thing here. Golden Knights did sign Brandon Saad for the remainder of the season at a $1.5 million. It's a prorated situation, but $1.5 million is the AAV. Brandon Saad walked away from something to do this. Brandon Saad had this season and the next season remaining at a $4.5 million AAV. Things weren't working out in St. Louis for Brandon Saad. They've been trying to trade him. No one would take on his cap hits. He gets sent down to the American Hockey League. Brandon Saad could have just quietly gone and rode buses to Peoria and Chicago and Springfield and all the other places where there's American League teams in the Midwest, Iowa and all that, making $4.5 million. Instead, he and the St. Louis Blues agreed to mutually terminate his contract, making him a free agent. So what does that tell you about his fire and passion? There you go, Condos. What does that tell you about Brandon Saad's passion to remain a winner?
Winning is addictive. And once you've won a ring, you want to win another one. You want to win another one. And if you look at the Golden Knights, the reputation around the league is they are a win-now franchise. And they have been really since year one when their growth was, accelerated all the way to the Stanley Cup final. The Golden Knights have never gone through a rebuild. The fans have never seen a losing team. They've never seen it. So when you're McCrimmon and you're looking at how the team is going and a few guys have achieved to career levels already, you got to add more. And I remember you talking in a show a couple of weeks ago, they need wing help. Well, here you go. Here's Brandon Saad, and he gave up no assets. He gave up a little cap space, but no assets for him. It's a free shot.
Yeah, no, it's a free roll. And when the news broke January 28th that Saad was going to the American League, I said, this is interesting. This is something the Golden Knights should pursue. The concern is the $4.5 million cap hit. That would mean the Golden Knights would have to send an asset the other way or get someone to take on half the whatever it may have you. And then the mutually termination of the contract, that was the game changer. I've been on the Brandon Saad bandwagon since the 28th when all this news kind of started to break. Brandon Saad, 906 regular season games, 515 points, 260 goals, 103 playoff games, 55 points, 27 goals. 36 goals throughout his career on the power play. He has scored 9 shorthanded goals. He was the goal scorer for Patrick Kane's 1,000th point. That was a great call by Foley, actually. I was watching his 2019-2020 highlight package, I think, when he was with the Chicago Blackhawks, and that certainly brought me back listening to Pat Foley calling all his goals and everything. So what is his, and again, we'll talk about what his role is going to be with the Golden Knights. What is his ceiling, right? The Golden Knights, I think, have, let's just call it for around number 30 games left in the regular season. What is the reasonable scoring outputs? And then what is the ceiling, do you think?
Well, right now he's got 7 goals on the season. I just took a quick peek to see where he stood. 7 goals, 9 assists. It's by far his worst year. It's his second worst shooting percentage out of his entire career. So he's not getting a lot of what you say puck luck. Now, is it the system in St. Louis or is it Brandon Saad taking a step backwards? We don't know. A lot of times you see a change of scenery and the guy suddenly finds his legs again and he's back up and going. The absolute ceiling is if he finds a way to get 13 goals, and that's, I mean, we're talking Pinus, and he gets to 20 goals on the year. If he gets to 20, he probably gets a better contract. So it's a pie in the sky, reasonable shot. If he matches the 7 over the remainder of the season, it's not bad. It's fine. He's filling a role.
The St. Louis Blues were 7, as of today, February 1st, the Blues are 7 points out of the final wild card spot. We've seen the Blues make a big comeback. When they won the Cup a few years ago, they were probably right about where they were now. They were low in the Central Division. They turned it around. It was a great story, and Gloria's blasting as the banner's going up, and that's that. This is certainly a different situation. So, yeah, listen, I get the stats. 26 goals last season with the St. Louis Blues, which was his second highest of his career, 31 goals with the Blue Jackets in 15-16. Goes from that to pacing to call it 13 to 15 goals, on pace for somewhere around 30 points or so. Career highs looks like 53 points, 2 seasons in a row with Columbus. The season before that with the Blackhawks, 52 points. So the question I pose to you, what is the ceiling for these last 30-ish or so games for the Golden Knights? What'd you say? 13 goals in those 30 games? Is that what you said? Or 13
Yeah, I mean,
goals?
if he goes absolutely crazy and everything starts going in to get to his 20 goals on the season. Because, I mean, if you're looking at it as an agent and you got my guy's, got multiple rings, he just got 20 goals again. He went to the Knights and he turned his season around. He's still a valuable asset. It's not us. It was St. Louis. That's what he's going to sell to his next GM.
Of course, yeah. Like I said, he walked away from a lot of money to do this. Brandon Saad, I mean, he's been doing this since his opening season with the Blackhawks in 2011, 2012, a little bit of time in Rockford, and then, like you said, came up with a teenager with the Hawks. I forgot about that. That was actually a great perspective. The highlight packages that I was watching with Brandon Saad, shoot first. Gets that puck anywhere inside the circles in that high slot area, he's shooting. If he's not shooting, his stick is down, he's waiting for a rebound. If his stick isn't down, waiting for a rebound right on top of the goalie, he goes to that soft ice that's about 4 or 5 feet off to either side of the goal, where the defenders kind of forget about things. A lot of times there's a scramble in front and everyone just goes to the puck, which is what you're trained to do as a player, whether you're an NHL player or a junior player or a house league player. When there's a scramble, you go to the puck. Well, a confident and smart forward with over 1,000 games of NHL hockey experience knows where that puck might go to. So but again, before we talk about the specific role with the Golden Knights, there is a need for the hockey IQ. There's a need for someone with experience. There's a need for, let's assume Mark Stone gets hurt. Let's assume Ivan Barbashev gets hurt again. Let's assume Dorofeev gets. You never know what's going to happen with the Golden Knights. So this is what Brandon Saad is going to help, the void he's going to help fill with the Vegas Golden Knights. And like I said, I think the experience is big. There's been a lot of local media talking about his advanced stats. You mentioned his shooting percentage. There's more stats than that, but I think that you have the excitements. You have, wow, okay, I'm going from the Blues. I'm going from St. Louis to Vegas. We've both been to St. Louis. The best part about St. Louis is
Generally leaving
St. Louis. No disrespect. And to be fair, when you leave St. Louis, you don't want to go anywhere. Like, don't go to East St. Louis. Just stick to the city. St. Charles is actually pretty nice down there. Anyway, I like St. Charles, Missouri. I've been down there a few times. And one of my old bands actually.
It's nice.
We played Ozzie Smith's, whatever Ozzie Smith's baseball stadium is down there. We played like a little festival thing. We're going way, way back in the late 90s. Anyway, but point being is you're going from St. Louis. Best case scenario, they're going to be wild card 2 and probably get blown out in the first round by the Winnipeg Jets or something like that. Or the Vegas Golden Knights for that matter. He was going to be riding buses around the American Hockey League, playing games while making that money. Now he's coming to Vegas. I think there's a motivation factor. He's 32 years old. He's not 36 years old. He's 32 years old. We've seen what 32-year-old right wings can do in this town as far as their scoring output. Jonathan Marchessault, 30-plus goals, 40 goals last year. So I think there's something left in the tank. Brandon Saad has something to prove. A lot of people come to Vegas when they're pissed off and got something to prove. So how do you feel about where Brandon Saad, how do you feel about what this is going to bring before we talk about a specific role? How do you feel about what this is going to bring to the Golden Knights?
I think this is a jolt to the actual lineup. One thing McCrimmon does really well is if he sees somebody, he finds the asset, and he's really good at maximizing people. And I'm pretty sure when he probably had an idea that Saad was on the trading block for quite a long time, and word around the league is nobody's interested in paying that AAV. Well, when you are a desirable franchise like the Golden Knights are, you're gonna score. You're gonna hit your guy. You're gonna sell it, and you're gonna be like, "Look, we need you to fill a role. We need you on this team. We have a chance. The window's still open. We need you to contribute and be a part of a winner." And when you've been part of a winner in the past, you want to jump back on that train.
Coming up next, what will Brandon Saad's role be with the Vegas Golden Knights? Looking for tickets to your next big event, whether it's a concert, comedy show, or a sports game, finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache. But with Gametime Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Gametime Picks, the app does all the hard work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. I've been using Gametime Picks for a while now. Here's why I love it. The curated deals make it super simple to find great tickets at a great price. No more sifting through thousands of options. The seat view feature is a game changer. Before I even hit buy, I can see exactly what my seat will look like in the venue. It's very reassuring. The best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to the special edition of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. I'm Chris Golick. Special guest Chris Kondos. I was trying to think of what to throw in there, but we'll just call you Chris Kondos, I guess. We are recapping the Brandon Saad signing by the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, myself and Kondos, we got plenty of Chicago fandom still in us. Not as much, maybe, especially the White Sox. That's just a train wreck right now. Maybe can we cancel the Oakland Athletics and bring the White Sox here instead? Is that a good idea? Would that be better? What do you think, Kondos?
That's a wash.
That's a wash. Fair enough. But at least it's our team, kind of. I don't know. Whatever. All right. So before we talk about if this was maybe a panic move by Kelly McCrimmon, what will Brandon Saad's be? What will Brandon Saad's role be with the Vegas Golden Knights? Second power play unit, I would start there. Not going to take a spot on the top unit unless there's an injury. Not going to take a spot in the top unit. And right now, I think he slots in. And without William Karlsson, the Vegas Golden Knights is a bit in flux as far as moving players around. But right now, I think at least maybe assuming Saad plays as early as tomorrow against the Rangers, which I'll bet he probably does, I would probably see Brandon Saad slot in on the left wing with Nicholas Waugh and Keegan Kolesar. How do you think he fits in that line? Do you think he can carve a place and help that line, or do you think Brandon Saad might need a little more skill around him?
I think you're going to end up seeing some lineup salad. You're going to see Cassidy taking all the names, throwing them in a hat, and just drawing them. Go get them, boys. Because I don't think that's the right fit based on those with Kolesar. I don't know. You do need a guy. I mean, again, Saad is a guy that is a finesse player. He's hit Lady Bing. He's gotten votes 4 years in his career already. So this is not a go in the corner and, trade elbows with some guy. This is not Barbashev. This is not Kolesar or any of those rough guys. He's a finesse player. So everyone needs to know where he fits. He's not a top line guy unless there's injury or he gets extremely hot. If he gets extremely hot, then yeah, he could possibly go up to the top line. But otherwise, he's a line 2, line 3 player on the wing.
Saad has had votes for the Calder, Lady Bing 4 times throughout his career, consideration for the Selke. Now, if I had to guess, that's maybe a local writer just, showing some love to the local guy, because when you click and look at it, it's like one person voting for like a second place spot. But still, that consideration is there. I do agree. Brandon Saad, although, bigger guy, 6'1", 216, like he's not a little guy by any means, but in the same breath, he doesn't fit. See, this is the weird thing about this right now. 2 things you always hear from Coach Cassidy. It's something I tell my kids as well when we're doing art, when I'm not falling on my butt on the ice, at least. But something I tell my kids: win your races, win your battles. I don't see Brandon Saad as that type of guy. I don't. I'm not saying he doesn't have effort, and no disrespect to Olofsson, I don't see him as soft as Victor Olofsson either. And Olofsson, when I say soft, I just simply mean he's more of a skill guy. You're not going to see him in there mucking it up as hard, although I am impressed with Olofsson's ability to do that. It's better than I thought it would. And make no mistake, Coach Cassidy will set expectations. Mark Stone will set expectations. Jack Eichel will set expectations. Brandon Saad will know the exact what's needed of him outside of scoring goals and doing what he can there. The expectations will be there. So maybe, Kondos, the question that I would ask is, especially 32 years old, not us, Brandon Saad, we're much older than 32 years old, but 32 years old, walked away from, call it $5 million, just a nice round number, got something to prove. Will we see maybe a little more physicality? Does he have the ability to attempt to become that player that's good in board battles and winning races?
I can see him winning races with his speed. Could he win board battles? I don't know. I think we'll wait to see how it plays out.
Is he willing to put in the efforts? Is he that type of player?
He has no choice but to put in the effort. The expectations, VGK fans don't understand that there is a standard held with this team that's not necessarily held around certain other places around the league. Buffalo. And when you come to this,
Vancouver.
Vancouver. By the way, can we side note on Vancouver? Remember we said at the beginning of the year who I thought was going to drop off, and I said Vancouver.
Oh, you nailed that one, dude. You were all over that one. You crushed that one. I refer to, especially in my hockey streams, I refer to the Vancouver Canucks as the Canadian West Coast version of the Buffalo Sabres right now.
Yeah, I mean, look what they had to do. And they're right in the Golden Knights division. And even if the Knights slide backwards, which I believe they're second right now behind Edmonton, you don't really have to worry about not being in the playoffs, or you should not have to worry about not being in the playoffs. The Golden Knights mindset is, where are you seated in the playoffs? And winning the division, it is a big thing. It used to not be a big thing, but now it is, especially if you get a wild card team at home in the first round and you get that extra home game against the lower seed in the second round. So it does matter a lot. And I feel that with Saad here, it's a point in the right direction. I don't think it's a solidifier. It's not a game changer. I think that's the way to look at it. It's a solidifier to your lineup.
We'll talk more in the third segment about if this is a panic move by McCrimmon or a sign of things to come. And I also got another hypothesis I will share in the third segment as well as it relates to the Brandon Saad signing. Can Brandon Saad bring an identity to a line? Whatever line he goes on, first, second, or third, he's not going to the fourth, but first, second, or third line, can Brandon Saad create an identity for that type for a line? Or is he going to be more of a complementary piece that helps an established identity? Can he change the identity of any of the top three lines?
I think that any of the top three lines he can make faster and play fast. Again, Brandon Saad, speed is his game. A finesse player, doesn't win board battles, but he will play fast. There is a goal that I wanted to bring up. This is going a long time ago. We're talking 10 years ago, but it was on the Blackhawks' final Stanley Cup run in 2015. This was Game 7 in Anaheim. Game 7 in Anaheim.
Okay, it was the Tampa Bay Lightning when they beat the Lightning in the Cup.
Correct, but this is the Western Conference Final. And in this
Game 7, yep.
We saw this game together at Pizza, by the way.
Nice.
So I'm going way back here. So
I was probably drunk watching the game.
Yep. Okay. Anaheim was at home. They were favored in Game 7. And the Blackhawks took a 5-0 lead in this game. Saad scored a goal that was banked in off the back wall and came around to him, and he hustled to it and tapped it in. Everyone else was playing the near side. He came on the far side and just tapped it in, untouched.
That goes back to the first segment, right? We talked about Saad's ability to find the soft ice. We talked about his ability to go where other players aren't going to go because their eyes, they go to the puck. Whether it's the forwards or the defenders, they go to the puck. Brandon Saad, again, 1,009 career NHL games between regular season and playoff. He knows that puck will find you if you go to certain spots. And again, I simply YouTube Brandon Saad goals, and I watched 2 or 3 different highlight packages that showed him scoring, 15, 18, 20 goals throughout a season. And there's a commonality, a quick release, getting to the soft ice, and transition. He's not bad on transition. I never thought of him as a speed player. When you mentioned Alex Tuch yesterday, that kind of got my attention, and I started doing a little research. So I think we can both agree, starting with special team, you're not going to see him killing penalties, I don't think. He has 9 shorthanded career goals, so he has killed penalties. If he's called upon to kill penalties, I think he'll do it. He'll do it okay. He's probably going to be like the 7th forward option in this lineup to do it, which, fine, whatever. He could do it. But we agree power play 2, maybe power play 1 if things went really weird or there were some injuries and stuff like that. I think we both agree that probably a third-line role to start. I mean, the Golden Knights, they're going to have a practice today, I would presume, either at MSG or a practice arena somewhere in New York. So Saad hopefully can join the team today. If not, I'll bet he joins the team for the pregame skate and does draw into the lineup tomorrow nights. And then good thing is Golden Knights got a 4-game road trip right now. 4-game roadie, and then the lovely Four Nations face-off. It's going to be great. I can't wait. But there will be plenty of time for Cassidy to go to the drawing board. Even though he's coaching Team Canada or an assistant, he'll still be able to be thinking about the Golden Knights. And we'll really see after the Four Nations where Brandon Saad's going to fit in with the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, coming up next, was this a panic move by Kelly McCrimmon? We'll tell you our thoughts. Welcome back to this Saturday special edition. It's a Chris and Chris show, Tony. I finally did a Chris and Chris show. Now you can get off my back about it. Chris Golick joined by Chris Kondos. We are recapping everything Brandon Saad. We talked about who Brandon Saad is. We talked about his role with the Vegas Golden Knights. Now maybe let's talk about a bigger picture. A lot of trades happening. Calgary just made a trade with Philly. You got the JT Miller situation. Rangers have been players coming in, players leaving. all sorts of things have been happening right now. Is the Brandon Saad signing maybe a reaction to what's happening around the National Hockey League? Is it just McCrimmon can't help himself? Ooh, shiny new toy. Let's go. Ooh, squirrel chasing a nut. Is that what's happening here? Is this a panic signing? Now, if you watch Coach Cassidy's pressers, last couple of pressers talked about shoot first, drive the nets, not passing up scoring chances to make passes. You got to wonder if Cassidy had an inkling this was likely going to happen, or he was planting the seed a little more to McCrimmon to sign Brandon Saad. So yes or no, panic move to sign Brandon Saad?
Absolutely not. It's a smart signing. It's a intelligent signing. A panic signing, no. Panic is if you're hanging on wild card 2 and you know your team is better and you're making every move, you're going all in, you're selling off assets that you shouldn't be selling off. This was, hey, it fell in our lap. We've got multiple millions of cap space to work with. Here's a free look without giving up anybody. Not that anybody wants anybody in Silver Knights or anything like that, but you're able to do that. Yeah, now that's a completely different question of what assets can they trade to get somebody else. That's another question for another show. As for this right here, this is just an intelligent, it's a smart move by McCrimmon to add to his team without subtracting.
It's the free roll of free rolls. If it doesn't work out, waive him. Send him to Henderson. Someone might take Brandon Saad off the Golden Knights' hands at a $1.5 million AAV if it doesn't end up working out. And I don't know exactly how that works. If the Golden Knights, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think the Blues would actually have the first crack back, if I'm not mistaken. Well, no, it was a mutual contract termination, so the Blues would not have any rights to Brandon Saad anymore. So, yeah, there's a lot of options if this doesn't work out. But I'm with you. This is the free roll of free rolls for the Vegas Golden Knights. Yes, it does cost them some cap space. According to Puckpedia right now, this definitely gets the Golden Knights a little tighter, though. $391,000 of current cap space. Their deadline cap space has dropped from the millions down to $708,000. So this tells me something right now. The Golden Knights had a lot of salary cap space, and now all of a sudden they have next to no cap space. They might send a player down. I'm assuming Cal Burke, I believe, was already sent down to the American League. Raphael Lavoie is going to stay up, it seems like, for a little bit. So William Karlsson. We'll talk about William Karlsson. Goes from maintenance day to day, as me and Tony like to say. Goes from a maintenance day, go to injury to, I believe, IR right now. Reports that he's not close to coming back. I don't see Kelly McCrimmon waltzing into the trade deadline 1 month or so from today with not a lot of money to work with. Brandon Saad took away some of his deadline cap space in his accrual of deadline cap space. Is there a situation where William Karlsson in his 5.2, 5.9, 5.2, William Karlsson in his $5.9 million AAV, could that be heading to LTIR? I know this is a hot button issue in Vegas, and this happens all the time. Does this mean that something is up with William Karlsson? You have any thoughts on that?
I think it's likely he's going to up an LTIR, to be honest with you, because if you're looking at that opportunity, if he's really injured and he's not had really a very good season at all, he's not looked like William Karlsson.
Okay, Tony.
I'm not crapping on him. I'm not crapping on him.
That's reality. No, it's reality.
Yeah,
it's been 14 games without a goal before the injury or something like that.
Yeah. And he was always a guy who was very strong with defense, and he just looks off this year. It's hard to identify. He just looks off when you look at him play. So will he end up on LTIR? I think it's very likely it's going to be the move. If he's got a legitimate injury, it's hard to have the other teams around the league go, he's not injured when he's legitimately injured.
Listen, you go back, Karlsson was not himself in the first round of last year's playoffs against the Dallas Stars. The first couple games, he was okay, and then I think it was game 3 or 4, he suffered some type of injury. He was still able to get out there on the ice. No surgery, no reported surgery in the offseason, at least. Starts the season, and then now here we are with him missing a bunch of games. We have to assume it's the same groin, same issue he's had going back. Question begs to be asked, is this something that surgery should have repaired in the offseason. Is this a new injury? Is this an injury to a tender area? I don't know any of this crap works. Dr. John Strickland, you watch all of our shows, so you can chime in on groin injuries if you want, but I think it's pretty safe to say groin injuries are one of the most unpredictable injuries in sports. Not unpredictable, they're going to happen all the time, but as far as the healing process for my Canadian friends out there, could take weeks, could take months, could take a long time. It might need a knife. Who knows? So you got to wonder, though, as we're tying this into Brandon Saad and everything and a possible panic move. I agree. You said this in the first segment. This is not the answer. Brandon Saad is not who is going to get the Vegas Golden Knights to their second Stanley Cup in 8 seasons as a new franchise, which is still just mind-blowing to think about, that this team 10 years ago, I don't even know if the season ticket drive started 10 years ago, and there's already been 2 Stanley Cups award on T-Mobile Ice. That's just can't put into words what that equates to. But like you also said, the Golden Knights rebuilding isn't in the it's not in the Vegas Golden Knights language. It doesn't exist. Bill Foley doesn't believe in rebuilding. Kelly McCrimmon agrees with that, and he's found a way to continue to put the right pieces on the ice. So any final thoughts about Saad, his role, the Golden Knights, as far as it being a panic move? Any final thoughts you want to leave us with?
Brandon Saad's probably he's going to definitely pick up his pace from what you saw in St. Louis. In St. Louis, checking around, it seemed like he was a redundant piece. Like there was players similar to him, he just didn't fit in. And you could see it in his play, you could see it in his stats. So coming to a new situation where you don't have a lot of finishers on the Golden Knights, you really don't. I think of Dorofeev as a guy from the faceoff circle as a finisher, or someone who can get in close and finish. So he has a defined role that he could step right into. And I'm excited to see what Saad can do. I'm excited to see if he can still be close to what he was in his prime. He's definitely not 25, 26. He's 32, but
which isn't that old for wingers these days, to be fair.
Yeah. But you're looking at a free shot or for a cap space shot to add a piece into your lineup and have the Knights better. Because frankly, right now they've been treading water and now the field is starting to catch up to them. So smart, again, not a panic move. I don't feel that the Knights are in danger of falling out of a playoff spot or playing that poorly. You got the All-Star break coming up. You get the batteries to recharge. And let's go back to a couple of years when the Knights were struggling when they won the Stanley Cup. They came out of the gate post All-Star break and they played excellent. And then they turned the switch on to the playoffs and they became a highly physical team.
Golden Knights are 3-4-3 in their last 10. They exit January with a 500 points percentage. Brandon Saad was signed by the Vegas Golden Knights to help address their depth issues, and we'll see just how that's going to play out over the 4-game road trip. And then after the 4 Nations. I want to thank Chris Condos for popping in on a Saturday morning, for joining the special edition of Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. I'm Chris Golick. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can catch out Locked On Vegas Golden Knights Monday through Friday as well on audio anywhere you get your podcast. I want to thank our everydayers that continue to help make this show churn. Without you guys watching every day, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for us to record. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and please take care.